Some people believe that the roots of all that's human lie in Africa. The mighty continent seems to hold the oldest secrets of our own history, and the wisdom that we've seemingly forgotten is in its bowels. However, it also harbors deadly dangers and chilling creatures that we understandably refuse to believe could exist until a story drastically changes our reality. What you're about to see is part of Africa's dark archives, a real legend that has haunted the local people for centuries. So get ready, because you're about to meet the African cave protected by a giant snake. South Africa is probably one of the most developed African countries on the continent. Its cities have been slowly growing, and what once were rural areas are now large urban centers that are home to millions of people. As is logical, this has meant that the hostile and wild nature is losing ground, but there still are inhospitable corners where the darkness gives shelter to monstrous creatures that once tormented the inhabitants of this region. One of the most dangerous places that continues to be talked about is Rykersveld, a savage and cruel land where only the strongest prevail. It's said that there's a small passage between lush bushes that connects to a deep system of winding caves that plunge into the darkness and lead to the ocean. The ancient inhabitants of the area refer to it as the bottomless pit and said that all kinds of treasures were hidden in its entrails, although these were guarded by one of the most terrifying monsters that can exist. Perhaps because of this famous legend of treasures and dangers, numerous expeditions have focused on this place. Since 1867, when explorer Hans Sauer visited the area and spotted a monstrous black snake up to 100 feet long. What's hidden in this bottomless pit has become an obsession for many adventurers around the world. The most emblematic and significant case of this legend can be found in the story of Lieutenant Fred Cornell, who made an expedition to the other side of the well in 1910 in Agrabesvale in northern Cape Province. Apparently, one of the members of his expedition, an individual named Camera, claimed to have seen a grotesque creature more than 10 feet long, which is huge considering he had only seen its tail. The group had already heard about the creature and the treasures it protected, so they decided to follow the path where Camera had spotted the creature. They walked for hours without any success until they finally reached an irregular path that hid a passageway concealed by the bushes. Night had already fallen by then, but it didn't matter. The passage led to a deep, dark cave that the torchlight barely illuminated. The scouts were armed. Whatever was waiting for them below would soon disappear from the face of the earth, or at least, that's what they thought. The cave was wide as if it had been dug by a huge creature, and there were stains of dried blood and bones of dead animals everywhere. The place was suffocating, and a putrid aroma covered every corner of the path. Even so, the explorers continued to advance, feeling that each step brought them closer to danger. Slowly, the cave started to fill with inexplicable sounds, mysterious noises that seemed to come from all directions, and a monstrous hissing that, thanks to the echo, resounded with a savage fury. Their hearts were pounding in their chest. Doubt began to make them question whether it made sense. But before they could decide to advance or flee, what they all feared happened. The beast from the cave emerged. To call that beast a snake would be unfair to the rest of its species. That monster was as thick as a crocodile and so long that one couldn't see where the body ended. Its skull was hard and prehistoric, with rigid features, 2 nostrils for a nose, and scaly skin marks by horizontal lines. A disgusting purple tongue protruded from its jaw, and its sharp teeth measured several inches. Instantly, the men started firing, but the slithering creature began zigzagging at surprising speed, dodging most of the bullets and coming dangerously close to the invaders. The men fell back in order, unloading their ammunition on the cave floor, as few of their bullets managed to hit the beast's tough hide. Given the short distance that separated the monster from the adventurers, they made the most prudent decision: to flee the cave. The group ran without looking back, throwing their rifles to the ground in some cases. They cared about nothing more than escaping from that monstrous creature. Their lives were at stake, and for 4 minutes, the snake followed them throughout the cave. But fortunately, they managed to escape unharmed. Terrified by what they had just witnessed, the expedition completely forgot about the possible treasure that the cave could hold and decided to place dynamite. The creature had to die in its lair, and the explosion would take care of it. The dynamite was effective. The explosion caused a powerful collapse inside the cave, completely sealing off what was possibly the creature's main exit to the outside world. The group shouted excitedly and joyfully, convinced that the beast would never see the light of day again. Unfortunately, Cornell and his group were wrong. The monster had several escape routes, one of which connected to the ocean and other areas. Perhaps that's why, just about 3 years later, another expedition encountered the beast. The same happened with the exploration led by Peter Grayson, a local man who lost several of his companions trying to hunt this beast. Since then, the creature hasn't ceased to appear in the stories of the country. Dozens of explorers have come across it or tried to hunt it without success. Fishermen and natives have also been unable to avoid crossing the beast's path without paying a high price. According to the legends of the native peoples of the region, this creature has been baptized with the name of Hrutzlong and can measure between 50 and 80 feet long. Its scales are usually as black as night, its body is deformed, and apparently it was created from mud by the gods to serve as a guardian. However, far from following the will of the gods, this creature would have rejected its duty to feed on human flesh and wreak havoc on the earth. Still, fearing the wrath of the gods, Hrutzlong hid in the depths of Africa's most inhospitable terrain, convinced that this was the only way to escape the vengeance of its creators. As you can imagine, this legend has quickly become a story that many believe to be based on real events. Witnesses to the existence of this powerful reptile continue to increase, and although it could be a simple coincidence, numerous similar events have been recorded in this part of the African continent. It seems that in most inhospitable places, something still survives. Something that has an uncontainable nature that cities have managed to exile to the wastelands and the farthest corners of the planet. If you'd like to know of other similar stories and discover the mysteries hidden behind them, then follow us in the next videos and get ready to face what's hidden behind what we believe to be real.